We'll get to that though.
I don't fuck with them, bro. All right, yeah, we're gonna recap everything we already said.
Is it you
Next,
racist?
no cap, I am, bro. They're so fucking annoying,
Is it
bro.
you racist?
Damn right, dude. Fuck those little niggas.
Is it you racist?
That's crazy.
Also, the fact that they're not called hobbits pisses me off
Why?
because they're fucking hobbits, bro.
Boot 'em
Nah,
up.
bro. The history of Lord of the Rings spans like thousands of centuries.
Yeah, I get that, but they're hobbits.
Shit's kind of crazy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Why Am I Here podcast. Excuse you, with me, your host, Sani. We have Ziggy Buckets.
What's up?
And we got young Sqwalla joining us as well to review the first season of Lord of the Rings of Power. And yeah, we're here today for rings, because that's what the show is about. Start from the beginning. That's the best place to start any story. What were your initial thoughts on like the acting and where the story was going from the beginning?
You know, I thought it was pretty good, to be honest. I always like to say this. I'm not a big stickler when it comes to acting. Let's just like very egregious or if it's like very good. And I think there's only one aspect like in this show where I thought the acting was like very, very good initially. And it was from Elgeron. Elgeron?
Elron?
Elron, my boy Elron, the diplomat elf.
Dude.
I thought his.
Sound like that white teacher in the hood.
No, you really do.
Might as well be, bro.
It's
might
the reverse.
Dude, I might as well be, man. These niggas got foreign names. But anyways, Elron. Yeah, so Elron, I think he did the best acting initially when I first started watching the show compared to everybody else. And it seemed like everybody else was a little too like emphatic with like being in their roles, whereas with him, it really felt like he was like just like an elf was a part of who he was, and he wasn't just an elf, if that makes sense. When it comes to like the characters that I really like, I really hate Galadriel. Initially, she was really annoying. I also hated the Harfoots. And then my favorite character to begin with was easily Elrond, just because of the way the acting was, just the writing for his character, and then just overall his place in the world felt really good.
Okay. What about you, Sqwalla?
I mean, the first, all the characters, I think, were sturdy acting wise. I don't really have anybody that I was like, damn, I don't believe they're Lord of the Rings like caliber. The only part that I think was a little bit awkward was Galadriel's like, she just had some scenes for me in especially the beginning.
Yeah.
Where I just was like, huh? Like I feel like emotion wasn't really getting pressed, but
yes,
I completely
it does
agree
improve. It does improve. It gets better, but I feel like, especially in the beginning when she's like marching through the lands of up into the snow lands,
and yeah,
she's just like, I don't know. She seemed pissed off, but like I wasn't scared of her. Like she didn't seem hell bent as she was supposed to be.
She seemed just like a whiny kid, right? Like
was mad.
That was just mad and just like throwing a temper tantrum instead of really like you knew why she was mad and why she was on this hunt for Sauron, but it just felt like she was just throwing a fit because her brother died, and less so that there was like it didn't really seem like there was depth to the point.
Yeah, I felt like she was in the beginning a very like one note character. She wasn't as dynamic as like the rest of the cast, in my opinion. I guess another character that kind of felt that would be like the Harfoots in the beginning. Like Ziggy said, I did not fuck with the Harfoots At the beginning and honestly throughout the show, they're kind of just annoying characters, but I digress. Um, Let me think what else. And the like storyline with the humans at the beginning. Bronwyn and Theo, the mother and daughter, and what's his name? Orendir, the black elf. Like that just didn't I don't know. I don't know if it was Orendir's like acting. He was very stoic in his delivery, which is can come off as like boring and uninterested at times. But I feel like as the story went on, the characters got a little more time to develop. At first, my initial impressions of the show was this is a pretty like basic show. I mean, you could tell they're literally dumping money into it by the shots they got. Beautiful. And all the CGI. Yeah, I mean the show looked amazing. I can't knock it for that, but like some of the writing just I was a little off at times. It was very like Shakespearean, as I said before in the podcast that no one heard.
The one that was not heard.
Yes, the one that's in the shadow realm right now.
In the shadow realm.
But yeah, I mean, my initial impressions of the show was it was okay. I felt like other people were like hyping it up way more than it needed to be. And I don't know if you guys felt the same way just from like word of mouth and like just from internet people. I mean, internet people are annoying because they were like pissed that they were casting like black people in the show, which I have no issue with. It doesn't really bother me as long as they can act and it doesn't like seem too forced.
Agreed.
Which it wasn't. It wasn't forced at all. He was like he was he was a good character for what he was doing and like his main purpose of the show.
Just being an elf.
It's just being that elf integrated with the humans. And like to kind of like touch on what we talked about before in the podcast that won't be heard is that initially when we first talked, I did make this point that when it comes to the Harfoots and why they felt so lackluster is I felt like they really were their whole role within this first season from what we watched in like the first 3 or 4 episodes was to really give character development for the mage, right? Because like all of their interactions and all the scenes with them was really trying to move that mage forward to help them have recollection and like kind of bring and kind of like also hone into the essence of like what it meant to be a Harfoot as well. But when it comes to like just standalone characters, I didn't feel like the Harfoots had that much much impact standalone. It was more of a collective pushing of the mage.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I feel like the Harfoots were annoying to me, but and the storyline was pretty it was not necessarily original. It was basically like Nori wanting to like go on adventures and stuff like that. Stuff like Harfoots wouldn't normally want or do. And then when the wizard fell from the sky, it like really instilled that even more in her that she wants to like see things and not be a technical Harfoot. I mean, she's a Harfoot, but not be like migrating with them and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's and like yeah, I guess that isn't very typical because it kind of felt like if you can remind me here, that's kind of similar to how it was in the trilogy, right? In the movie.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
the hobbits, it's like very parallel.
Yes,
where it's just like you could have maybe made an original storyline instead of having like these parallels from the trilogy. But like I don't know, maybe that was their way of saying like, hey, like even as time goes on, there are going to be Harfoots that break out of the mold of what it means, or like hobbits to break out of the mold of what it means to like be that race or that archetype. But going back to what you were saying when it comes to word of mouth, to be honest, most of the people that I talked to when it came to the show before I even started watching it, they were big Lord of the Rings fans, and they were just like, "Meh, it's all right." But I think that was their way of like providing a defense mechanism of like not getting let down for a show that they were like secretly wanting to succeed and to
Yeah.
meet them as the movies or maybe the books. So I came into it with very mediocre and moderate expectations, but and then watching it from the first 3 seasons throughout the first 3 episodes. Sorry about that. It was it kind of like lived up to what my friends were saying. It's just very mediocre.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard similar things. Yeah. What were you about to say?
I was gonna say that I feel Amazon. Let's just talk about the amount of money that was pumped into this.
Like a billion, right?
The most expensive show ever.
$500,000 in season 1. So they have to pump it everywhere. Like, and they have to send the bot armies out to, because who knows how many of these accounts are real and or fake. I do think the show as a whole, after watching it all the way through, and I watched, and just because I got juiced up because it just has nostalgia, I watched all 3 OGs extended cuts. So there's a 4 hours. No, Dorian. I think I watched them like 2 weeks ago. I watched the trilogy, all extended cuts. Now I think the difference is the old ones. They might have just been directed better, and the vision was better. It's not as colorful. This one is really colorful. If you look at like the color palette, just from like, it's got it, and that's what I think throws us off. It's so like it's based that anybody should be able to watch it, and that's when something's bad, is when you try to get too broad. So they're trying to have kids can watch this, adults can watch it. Like, you know what I mean? They never really push it to the point where like the orcs are like, looking like complete savages. Like, I was scared of the orcs as a kid.
Same.
I was like, oh shit, the Urukai is pulling up. And that dude with like oh my, I forget his name. Not the Sauron's boy. He best like no. Old, long ago.
Morgoth.
No. We're talking OGs. I'm talking that was friends with Gandalf. Oh,
Saruman.
Oh,
now his boy.
Solomon.
Yeah. When he like
Saruman.
Saruman. Yeah, he's a Pokemon on some shit like that.
Yeah.
So that when he like wiped the black ash on that one Urukai's face, I was like, oh shit. There was never a scene where I was like, I was scared of the orcs. And that's like, or anything. Like, I just thought the evil was so bad. There was no real threat. And the honestly only threat was the volcano part. Like, that was the coolest, most epic part.
I would agree with that. That was the part where I was just like my stomach dropped, and I was just like, ah, shit, dude. They actually got away.
That was like, that was like in the middle of the story when everything actually started to develop.
And I haven't watched the 3 movies in a while, and I don't know if this is, I'm not trying to make a counter to your points, Sqwalla, but do you think the reason why it's so colorful right now is because it's that volcanic eruption to create Mordor, right, in Middle Earth, and then maybe going into season 2 things are going to be looking a little more darker, just like how the movies are, because the movies take place after that eruption. So like
Mordor.
I mean, way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mordor has been there. So like maybe that's the angle that we're going to. And going back to the podcast that will never be heard again, is one of the things that me and Sani discussed was, I said the reasons, there was one thing that felt very lackluster in the show, where it didn't seem like there's like a sense of adventure, which I think Lord of the Rings did very well throughout the trilogy. But then I touched on, hey, maybe it's because with this show, maybe they're thinking 5 seasons ahead and they're playing the long game. And this is when we were about 4 episodes in, and now finishing the whole series, it kind of seems like that's what they're doing. Is that they're playing for the long game.
4 seasons.
And the development seems, I think the development seems on pace if there's going to be like 4 to 5 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, if that's the plan, is longevity, which would make sense, then I give their vision. But as like you said, that if they're playing the long game,
yeah,
then it makes sense. But I guess it shows it's so scary because you could just
get canceled.
It could just like, we could just never see the vision.
I mean, I feel like Amazon's not going to cancel Lord of the Rings, mainly because it's like Jeff Bezos' favorite shit ever. So it's like his passion project. And I'm sure he's willing to just dump money into it.
Because
Man doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely gonna make money. Like, especially just, it's like as a whole and as everything, it's got the legs. Because I'm a Lord fan. I was a Lord fan before anything else. So before Star Wars, before.
Same.
So I have faith in the longevity, and I want it to be good. And I just think that it was close at some parts. Some parts far off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just tough. Like, and I can name one part just in particular. When they were in Numenor, that shit was dragging. I was like, can we get out of here?
Agreed.
That was in the middle of the season as well. And honestly, during that middle part, I felt so like discontent about the show. I felt like it was some storylines I enjoyed, like mainly Elrond's storyline and Doran's storyline with them finding the Mithril and trying to finesse their way to save the elves. That part was like very interesting, mainly because Elrond acting wise kind of carried the show.
Yep.
But in like Numenor, it really slowed down for me, and they introduced like the Numenorians as like just annoying ass people, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Yeah, I didn't like them that much either because they kind of, and just the same way how I don't really like elves, where like elves think they're greater than humans, then Numenorians think they're greater than humans because they were like bestowed that island from, the elves. Or no, they don't think they're better than humans. They think they're just like higher than, than like both them and elves, and they don't need elves. So it kind of felt like they were just like spoiled brats when we were on that island. But you're right. Everything that was happening on that island was just so boring. And like one of my least favorite characters, like my two least favorite characters at that point were on that island. It was Galadriel, and then it was also Isildur. And I was so happy when that nigga fucking died, bro. I was like, thank the Lord.
I mean, I know he's not dead, but he's definitely not dead. I know he's not dead,
but you get what I'm saying when they cut him out, because like throughout that whole time when we were on Numenor, he was just acting like a spoiled,
he was so annoying,
brat. And it's like, I understand that that's a character trope in like most like shows when it comes to like adventure and like fantasy and whatnot, but it's just like, man, like, and like that's a good testament to his acting, because he was pissing me off. I was like, can't you just like be a cog in the machine and do what you need to do and stop trying to like create this friction and always want to look to the Western island and whatnot? Like,
it seemed like he was like trying to live a different life, but not willing to like put in the work to do like any of it.
Exactly. None of it. And it was just super frustrating. And then let's not like even get to the point with his sister. Like, maybe season 2 and season 3, she has a more prominent role, but I feel like her role was so like irrelevant. Like she
was very useless. Yes,
she was very useless. So like I'm assuming maybe they alluded to her maybe doing more in season 2, maybe season 3, after she gets mistaken as the daughter of the king, and the king opens up the secret door for her to put her hand on that crystal ball, where when the queen put her hand on the crystal ball, she saw the waves coming down and crashing Numenor and breaking it down. Yeah. But for season 1, it just didn't really seem like, it really didn't. That whole arc didn't seem too well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Numenor was like a long time. It's so long. That's why I hate
it. And they spent a lot of time there. They spent years. two or 3 episodes in Numenor when they didn't really need to.
It was the second episode, and they were there till 6, and they give to the island on 7, and then the volcano blows up, right? And then
that actually seems
I'm
right.
pretty sure they got to Numenor on like end of episode 2, and like was actually there episode 3.
Yeah, so they were there for.
Didn't get to the Southlands until like episode 5 or 6.
Took forever.
Yeah, but even unnecessary amount.
But even when they were at the Southlands, it was like, and we were talking about the battles too. The battles just seemed very meh
I
as
did want
well.
to. I did want to bring that up. The
Like it's
battles. I thought there was some of the fighting was just mainly like Galadriel's fighting. It was like a lot of flair, but it was so unrealistic. And I was like, I guess I was comparing it to like Legolas in the trilogy, where it was flashy, but at least like it looked more realistic and cool. Like this, it was very like obvious, like she was just moving different than everyone else. Like in the like first episode when they fight that like cave troll, like that fight did not look good at all.
at all. Like, and here's the thing: I understand elves are elves, but I want to see some struggle. You know, like when Leonardo DiCaprio got mauled by the bear in Revenant, like that was better planned out than I feel like any of the fight scenes in the Rings of Power. Because I don't, when a battle's happening, I don't know about you guys, like I want to feel like tension between whether or not the people that I like are gonna die and whether or not they're gonna survive. And I want to see people get slaughtered. And I think we saw a lot of that towards the last fight when they were in the Middlelands. And can't remember the Black Elf's name. And he was Southlands, yeah, Middle Earth, my bad. And like he's about to have that knife just punctured through his skull. And I'm just like, oh, dude, they actually might kill this dude, you know? Like, and like I'm like squirming and stuff.
Yeah, that was a struggle.
Yeah, and lo and behold, he gets saved. But I feel like everything else besides like that little aspect just did not like. I was just sitting there like, okay, like the choreography isn't good. Like maybe they need to get like Bruce Lee as a cameo, you know, to come in.
You know,
or
Bruce
like
Lee's
that.
dead, right?
Bruce Lee, Jet Li as a cameo, and you know, maybe do some cool shit because that just wasn't cutting it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that for sure. Like, what was I about to say? Yeah, the fighting, it felt like you didn't really feel like any of the stakes of the show until like towards the end in those last two episodes. Well, I guess when that volcano blows up and like Mordor is created, that's when you're like, oh shit's like actually happening. But like outside of that, nothing really happens in the show, and I guess it's setting up for future seasons, which also makes sense. But as far as like first season wise, I at this point, like I'd say before the volcano exploded, I was like indifferent on the show, honestly, because like nothing was happening.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was bad.
Before well, it got boring. Like it started off hot.
Yeah, yes.
It started off hot as in like we're hyped for the show, and then they just kind of dragged, and then they were like, all right, well, then the elves kind of leave, and then we're just like, also between this Elrond and Durin are like cutting it up, and they like, I don't know, like it's just that was slow too. I feel like it's for the inevitable, just like I feel like they could have ran through that in like one episode, right?
Yeah.
Like him just getting, maybe two, like him going there, telling him what he like, sniffing around for the mithril, and then like eventually taking Durin back and like explaining why, and then trying to get it. But then that was took forever too. Just to fucking just to advance the mithril part, and then they just get that little like, and then they show off the Balar in the bottom, or the Baltar, whatever the frick they're called, those big ass
Balrog.
The Balrogs down there,
And
down in the trenches.
Yeah.
But even that was just like, why'd you even show that? You know? In my opinion, it was like, why?
Keep us hooked because they know there's like nothing.
Yeah.
They
were like, I felt, yeah, they were like sprinkling little like nuggets in there for like people who've been with the Lord of the Rings like
or spark you to
ethos.
look it up. Like, oh, what the heck was that down
Yeah,
at the bottom?
exactly.
The mines of Moria.
I guess, but I feel like you could have introduced that in season 2 as that thing is as it's gonna come out, but whatever. Because in season,
gonna mine mithril in season 2? Do we even know?
Like probably, I'm assuming so, right? Like,
they have
but
to
here's
make the other rings. They only
They-
got the 3.
Yeah, they do have to make the other rings. So
Wait, how many
they
rings
have
are
to?
there?
A lot.
9 for the men.
You didn't listen to the
7
song
for
at the end?
and 1 ring for the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
No, I knew that. Come on.
Come on, dog.
Lord
Why'd you just fucking lie like that for
What do
no
you mean?
reason? You didn't know that shit.
How
bro.
many
Come
rings
on.
do the dwarves have, Ziggy?
10.
They have
7.
9,
7.
bro.
7 for
They
the
have
dwarves.
9, bro.
No,
9
the
for the
dwarves have
dwarves.
7. The dwarves have 7.
The men
Dwarves
have
have 7.
9.
Men have 9.
See, did you even
And then-
listen to the
then-
song
then-
at the end?
Look, that don't
men-
even sound right to me.
9,
Like
yeah, the 9
these
mortal
men
men.
have been portrayed as like fucking evil people throughout this entire series.
Well, they are.
Probably because we got the perspective of the elves and they have like a longer history. But I
The
felt
humans-
like the dwarves were more lit than the humans. The humans
Yes,
were
the
very
dwarves are
sus.
Yes, agreed.
Dwarves are New Yorkers and Philadelphians combined.
Yes, they are.
That's
That's
they're
exactly what
literally
they
New
are.
Yorkers and Philadelphians combined. They're like East Coast, a little bit of Boston's. They're East Coast motherfuckers. Like the elves
Yeah.
are such West Coasters.
100%, dude. 100%.
And the men are from Texas, bro. They're just
Yeah, they're all
in
from-
the
yeah.
middle of the country. They're just fucking
Just doing whatever.
they
Doing
got guns, they're
whatever,
shooting
bro.
shit, they're just murdering people. No, like Floridians, you know. That's
Just fucking
That's the
side him
worst.
with the Dark Lord, bro. Like,
yeah, they'll do whatever they
exactly.
take.
yeah, do whatever it takes.
That's what
nah.
I'm saying.
Yeah, did you guys like your feelings about the show like change halfway through the show, or were they about the same from like when it initially began?
I mean, I think for me it was just overall started off with like high-ish expectations. They dropped, and then when I noticed that like, all right, it's not going to be because of the show, so it's going to be paced a lot slower. There's so much
Yeah.
more, and then I was like, there's so many characters. The Harfoots.
There is a fucking ton of
Harfoot.
characters.
And you're just like this guy, this like mysterious dude, like, and they're like, who's Sauron? Who's Sauron playing that game? And then it's like, all right, well, they have some good like basic show tropes going on,
Yeah.
but then I just feel like at a point it just kind of hit like a like right above mid, and then I just was like coasting a right above mid, like enough for me to care to watch, but I never was like, I'm not on the edge of my seat.
You weren't like enthusiastic about
Yeah, I
the
was
show
like, oh
or
shit,
watching
Friday's
it.
here. Friday's
Yeah.
here. It's just
Yes.
like, all right, it's out. Let's watch it when I can.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing, dude. Like, I'm actually a step below that. So after we did the podcast that will never be heard, I actually I binged it all yesterday before we did this podcast. And I'm gonna be honest, I was gonna leave the last 3 episodes from 5 to 8 just unwatched. I was just like, I was content with what I saw up until that point because, like you said, it's just mad. Like the Harfoots, man. Okay, like the Elrond and Doran, political game was going on, which was the only thing that really captivated me throughout the show. But I was just like, that's not enough to keep me there. Like Galadriel was kind of annoying, and it's like the Middle Earth saga and like going towards there just didn't get me hyped. Because I think at the end of episode 4, they're now setting sail all the way over there, and I just didn't care. I was like, I can assume what happens. Like I don't know. I was fine with never watching the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, it took me like a week or two to actually watch those last 2 episodes because I was definitely feeling the same way that you were feeling, Ziggy. Like it got to the point where the show was like getting predictable for me. Like I could kind of see where the story's going, but they did do some things I wasn't really expecting, and they pulled off a massive pump fake at the end.
Biggest pump fake.
So I think going into like the ending of the show, I feel like the ending really saved the season.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree with that.
they hooked us in for season 2.
Exactly. Now I'm actually looking forward to season 2. So I think, and like going back, and then just kind of going back to the point that I made is like, I really do think they're playing the long game. Like, I think this show, I think season 1 becomes a better season after there's a couple seasons after, where when you rewatch it, you see all the seeds getting planted for maybe season 3 or maybe season 2. But as a standalone season with nothing else before it, it's just meh up until that last episode where that pump fake was coming left and right, and you're just like, what the hell? And I would even go as far as to say, like, now I'm even more interested in going back and rewatching all of season 1 to see if there was any, subtle cues and clues that were happening throughout the season that I didn't pick up on. But now that I know, I'll see them.
Yeah, like when the reveal that Halbrand was Sauron.
Yeah, bro.
As soon as that like happened, I like, well, first in like episode 8, he was acting hella sketchy. Just from like him like walking in on Celebrimbor and like giving him like insight on how to like forge things, which is kind of crazy to me because like Celebrimbor is like this fucking renowned forger and has created so many like crazy things and he's famous, but he didn't know you could like mix two metals together to like fortify it.
I maybe I think they painted that weirdly though. I feel like that was like too, like, come on, like that doesn't make fucking sense to me. Like, oh yeah, this dude's so smart, yet he's a fucking idiot. Like,
no, he was fucking dumb as bricks
like, wait,
at the end of the season.
You're telling me we can, if I use a less impure metal with the most purest rock that we've ever found in the face of Middle Earth. Oh, I can't just use fucking iron on the side of the rock. Like no, bitch.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But I will say the how when well, Sauron, I'll just call him what he is. Sauron was like back when he was in Numenor, and he but like everything about him was Galadriel's fault. Like that's all it is. It's her. She's the reason. Like he wanted to stay there. Like he didn't even care. Like
I just want to say I don't believe a fucking single word out of that man's mouth. Even when he was like, "Oh, you brought me here," like this is your fault, Galadriel. I was fine with just chilling. Like
that's true. He was.
There's like no way to prove that. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, there is proof.
Because he could have told her who he was, he could have told her who he actually was though.
But
and
there's no shot she would have murdered him on sight, bro. There's no shot.
Exactly.
Murdered him, but
she would have murdered him on sight. She's been on this blood vendetta.
Yo, she thinks she's
against
Sauron the entire series.
True.
He sunned her. She was like,
hold on. That shit.
He said, let me just send you to another dimension.
Let me just put you in a genjutsu. Like,
he put her in a deep trance. I walked away. So I don't know if she ever had a chance because that's how slippery he is. And then like, no,
that's why I don't believe like
that's what I'm saying.
Says when he's like, "You're the one that brought me here."
Where was he going then? Where was he going? He got banished. So the bull said like, the guy was right. They kicked him out. The OG elf dude.
When he had the fucking spear to his throat, bro.
Yeah, and then he was like, he knew. That's why he grinned at him because he's like, "Oh, that's fucking Sauron, fucking bitch." And when they blew up Mordor, when they made it, and the elf dude, when they were chasing him down, and he grinned. He was like, "Yeah, that's Sauron." He knew it. He's like, "That's part of the scheme," because he just had to get close, and then he like made Galadriel put like on this hell bent rage. I guess that's like what he was trying to do was just. Because I guess he wants the mithril. I guess he wants it too, but he needs to get.
I mean, he just wants like power.
Yeah, but really? Mithril is how he needs that shit. That's like a big part, because then he can make his little.
Yeah, that's how the ring's created.
the ring, the one that ruled them all.
So
Yes.
yeah, so like I thought like his reveal set up like so like I kind of want to rewatch the raft scene to see if there was anything going on there that I may have missed, you know? And like
When
it
he
kind of made me
survived.
I
I
mean,
mean, in the raft scene, she like asks who he is. He gives her a fake name to start. Well,
of
actually,
course.
not to start. This was like when they got to Numenor, I think. He actually revealed his name. But she saw that like medallion or pouch thing that was
Yep, I
from
remember
like
that.
that was passed down the line of the Southland Kings. And she was like, "Oh, so you were like an heir to the Southlands or something along the lines of that?" And he was like, "Yes." And he was like, "I got it off of a dead person."
Because he fucking murdered him.
I get that, but like just the way like he frames his the way he framed it was extremely manipulative.
Yeah,
Like
and
in
that's
the
why I want to
beginning of the show.
and that's why I want to rewatch those scenes with him and the conversations that he had with Galadriel to see whether or not everything he was saying was based in like the truth of his position as Sauron, you know? Where
Yeah.
it was like, oh, like you should have seen what they did to my family in in the Southlands. They like murdered them all, right? Like who was he talking about, right? Was he actually talking about the orcs when the what's that ugly ass dude's name?
Adar.
Ardar. When Ardar was like
Adar.
Adar.
Idar.
when when Adar was like when he had the spear to his throat, to Adar's throat, and he was pretty much like was like I'm gonna murder him. He like you should have. He's like, do you remember me? Do you remember me? You know this
Yeah.
because Adar also claimed that he killed Sauron. So it's like, did he kicked him out? He pushed him out. You know, so like when he did that, it's I think there's a lot of stuff that you can like unpack now with that reveal.
Because they were pumping you
True.
with what the mage, I forget his name, the tall bull.
He did.
That's
They didn't
that's Gandalf.
actually. They didn't actually name him. We
But it's
don't
Gandalf.
actually
Fuck
know
yeah.
if that's Gandalf or not.
It has to be, bro. Because remember in the first movie, he goes down or he talks with Frodo and them, and he pretty much says like, "Your people, your type, your people, like, or your lineage has been very kind to me."
Yeah,
Well, can you quote that?
I
Because you just
understand
watched the 3
that.
movies.
Yes,
He does say
He
that.
does say that
So
when he
I know
yeah.
he says that.
in the
So
beginning in the fellowship.
come on, we know it's
The Hobbit.
Gandalf, bro. We know it's Gandalf. Because listen, dude. Also, those mages like they're called them Sauron, and they're like, oh, you're not the good one, and then he fucking body blasts them to the next dimension, bro. It's Gandalf, bro. There ain't more than one wizard out there, bro.
There is.
There is
Oh.
though. There is a
There's
lot,
hella wizards.
couple, yeah.
Hella?
Yes,
Yes.
there's like 5. Have you watched the Hobbits?
Yeah.
No, I ain't never watched that
There's
shit.
like the like
There's, like-
brown wizard and like blue wizard and like
Yeah,
there's
What?
white
there's-
wizard and gray wizard.
There's a couple wizards. Yep,
What?
Yeah.
some magic bulls out there.
But
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
ain't-
it
You
because the
telling me that
wizard
ain't Gandalf?
it could be Saruman, who was initially my bad good,
Yeah.
but then got like corrupted along the line. That's
Well, 'cause he
That's
looks at the
also an
seeing
option.
glass.
yeah, the seeing stones.
Yeah. Well, that fucks anybody. That's what happened to the one king. 'Cause
True.
That one, the Numenor king. You can't look into those things if you're not like built sturdily.
True.
You go bonkers.
Had that
But what-
man bedridden.
What about the daughter though? She looks straight into that shit. Both the daughters, the queen and the daughter. You think they're gonna go bonkers, bro? I mean, she's blind now.
Well, the queen's blind now, so she's not seeing anything.
She ain't seeing shit. All she sees is gray.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
Yeah, she's.
At first, when she said that, I was like, "What the fuck is she talking about?" It literally took me until like she had the cover over her eyes to realize she was like blind.
Son. Nah, bro. Seriously?
Bro, like, how are you the only person to go blind in that blast?
True
Come
though.
on.
True.
Like who keeps their eyes open like during a
Staring
volcanic
at the
eruption?
volcano
Yeah,
glowing,
exactly. That doesn't make any sense to me. So
She was in awe,
I
bro.
didn't realize she was blind until like it actually like showed us she was blind.
Oh, shit, I just died on the inside.
Even after the fucking dialogue when she said, "Take my horse, lead my horse, lead my horse." That's when I knew she was blind, bro. I was like,
I
yeah,
thought she was just scared.
oh, gotcha. Yeah, I was like, yeah, she can't see, bro.
It's
When
all
she's like,
gray.
She
all
said
I
it's
see
all
is
gray, and I was like,
the sky's gray.
because at first I thought they were still in like Mordor, like walking out, and then he said they were like out of Mordor for like a mile, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Is she just shook from what just happened? I thought she meant more of a like a metaphorical gray and not like she couldn't see.
Yeah. And the sky was gray too.
Everyone in the show speaks in fucking metaphors.
Bro, dude, I was gonna tweet about that last night. I was like, I don't know if my IQ's low, but I didn't understand half the shit they were saying in the show, bro. I was like, I'm gonna need a translator the next time I sit down and watch Lord of the Rings. Because these dudes just don't say shit straight. They don't, bro. They're always like walking around what needs to be said. Like, why does everyone?
Yeah, it's very Shakespearean in their speech, which is just
like, why does everyone have to be
soap
wise?
opera over the top? Like,
yeah,
and like going off of what Sqwalla said earlier about the like darker themes not being well done. I thought they weren't well done until like the end with the reveal of Sauron. Cause that scene with him and Galadriel was actually pretty well done.
I thought so too. You mean when he's like up in her head, or like like from the point when he comes down, grabs the knife,
Queen and King.
Dude, that was sick. And then they look down, you see him in his fucking drip, bro, and she's standing right next to him, and you're like, yo, this dude's sinister as fuck. And then he's fucking screaming, and the veins are popping all over his fucking neck and head and face, and you're just like, yo, this man is really psychotic.
Also, weird nitpick, but like in all the images we see of Sauron, this man's like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
How the fuck does Halbrand, human-sized dude, get to fucking that?
Well, I don't think Sauron is any. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like an entity. Like he's not a man. He's not a man. Like that's just
no. I get he's like more similar to the wizards.
Yeah. So like I think he can. I'm assuming he'll put himself in that armor. I don't think once he's in that armor suit that he gets, he's just perma in that bitch.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait,
that makes sense.
Is he not a wizard?
No,
what is he?
He's just
like
he's like the
like
fucking
how I said like wizards are fallen angels. It's kind of the same thing with him too. He's just to put it in a more like Christian viewpoint, like Morgoth is the devil and Sauron is like the Antichrist, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy.
That's what it is. That's
it is
Lord
crazy. I
mean,
Lord of the Rings lore is fucking wild. Like I said in the unreleased Lord of the Rings podcast, it's a lot of history, and they even get into like their creation story with their god. I forget his name, and like him creating these angels. They're not actually called angels. I forget what they're called. And how like Morgoth like Satan like went against God and just went to Middle Earth and just wreaked havoc and took Sauron with him.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Damn, that's kind of crazy. I don't know what else to say besides that because I didn't know the lore went that deep and had a lot of
it
fucking
goes very deep.
parallels to like religion.
Shit runs
Yeah,
deep,
yeah.
brother.
Yeah, I mean
Damn,
it's its own world, so it has its own creation.
That's true. Yeah.
So, how did you feel about season 1 as a whole? Like after you completed the watch through, what were your feelings towards the show? Anyone can go first.
5 out of 10.
5
7
out
out
of
of
10.
10. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I'm not gonna give it a 50. I'm gonna give it a fat 70 because, like I said, I think season 1 will, after season 2 and 3 comes out, it probably gets bumped up to a 9. In the totality of what the show is. But just as a standalone season without anything released, after it, it is. The last episode is what made the show good. I was standing
wholeheartedly agree with that.
with the curveball, the curveball with Saruman. It's like, damn, I didn't expect that fucking once. Like there is nothing that indicated to me that he would have been, wicked in disguise. So 7 out of 10 because of the curveball. Oh, and also the acting of Elrond as well, and then the shots and just how beautiful the show was in general. I would give it a 7 out of 10. The plot wise, I would say is what was kind of lacking there in some of the writing But holy shit, dude, there were some times because I got a 4K TV. I'm sitting there and I'm watching the show and I'm just like, holy crap, man! Like this is beautiful. We're like, wow, this shot is really good. And I'll speak to one shot that was probably my favorite shot throughout the whole movie. It was with the wizard and the Harefoots. What's her name? Lily? Poppy? Loli?
Poppy or Nori? Which one?
Nori. With
Nori was the main like.
Yep, with Nori, and Nori's getting her backpack to go leave with them, and it shows the wizard standing next to the tree that he cured off into the background, and it's like a silhouette of him, and just the proportions with him and the tree, and how slender how thin it looks, and how it kind of looks like tree-like, and like you can't tell, it's him, but if you didn't know it was him, just like it's just another parallel object in the distance. When it's unfocused and then it focuses in on him and then the shape comes and then it unfocuses on him again and goes back to Nori. It was just a beautiful shot. I was like, wow, they really planned that out with just like how they aligned the shapes and everything when they were getting that. I was more focused on that background and that shot than what was coming out of Nori's annoying mouth.
What about you, Sqwalla? How were your feelings about the show? As a whole,
I'd recommend it to a Lord of the Rings fan. I would not recommend it to somebody that has no idea what they're watching. Because I feel like if I didn't know anything about Lord of the Rings, I'd be like, I'm good on this one. Because it'd just be overwhelming. It'd just be at a point you just be like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that because I feel like this show is set up for new watchers of Lord of the Rings who maybe have not
at it.
Yeah, exactly. And it because they threw stuff in there that people who've been with the series would understand and pick up on, but they kind of capitalize on it at the end with Sauron and that reveal.
I heard you say that.
For new people, as we all have been saying, if people get to the middle part of the show, I feel like a lot of people would drop the show.
Yes.
It just gets to the point where I said they went too generic. They try to hit too many people. They didn't do a commitment towards a fan base. They went for a broader, the whole market. They tried to get a little bit of everybody in with all these different storylines. They have the Harfoot, you know what I mean? And then they have the Dwarven one, and where they could have just made it a little bit edgier. I think edgier Lord of the Rings would have been better. Just a little bit more grit to it.
I kind of feel like that's what's coming next. Is more battles, more a lot bigger battles and stuff like that.
But
upcoming seasons.
I don't know. I think they're cook. I think Amazon's like Disney. They're soft, and they're just not gonna be like, they're not gonna take that chance and be the edgy company. That's HBO's lane, and that's where they dominate. So it's like, as a whole, right? I just think that it's overall, if you have any concept of Lord of the Rings, you'll find it somewhat enjoyable. But if you've never touched Lord of the Rings, never watched The Hobbit, never watched the trilogy, I would just either stay away or be, when you're extremely bored and you have nothing else to do, then I'd watch it. But I promise you'll fall asleep 5 episodes through. You'll just be like,
yeah. And what would you like rate it out of 10?
personally, I'd go 6 out of 10 right now. That's where I'd float it. I'd float it right above mid, approaching above mid.
Okay. Because I feel the same way that you both feel, honestly, as far as like the story being like a little lackluster at times, too slow at times, but the shots were great and some of the acting was like really well done. Like Durin arguing with his father about using the mithril and like helping the elves. Yeah, which that scene was just, I felt like King Doran was just extremely stubborn and like wasn't really listening to like what his son was trying to say.
Yep.
But if I were to rate this first season, I feel like I would give it like a 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Mainly because like those last 2 episodes really like capitalize on what Lord of the Rings like is, and it just made the story better in my opinion.
No, yeah.
Agreed.
I'm right in the pocket as well on that. I have no quarrel with you.
Yeah. Will you be watching the next season?
Yeah. I like Lord of the Rings too much not to watch it. It's like I could even hate it and I'd still watch it.
Yeah.
I used to watch Two Towers on repeat as a child. Like every day, wake up.
Movie's fire.
Watch Legolas slide down that
elephant
stairs, or the elephant scene. He just went off. Like that was
his movie.
When he was just like, when they blow up on the wall and he just like on all the elves and he's like just comes out slow-mo and he's like and they just fight the orcs down the fucking the Dave. He's like, Legolas, shoot it. And the thing's just like that fucking orcs just eating fucking.
Bro, that Helm's Deep battle is legendary.
Yeah, the Battle at Helm's Deep.
I'm hoping like in the coming seasons we get like something like that, and I'm sure we will, because I'm sure like at the end, like season 4, we're gonna get that big like confrontation between everyone in Sauron, where he like he gets the ring and then loses the ring. Yeah, the one they do in the beginning of the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I feel like that's what this whole show is building towards, and if they pull that off, then everything I said about the first season is a moot point.
It's a moot point. I agree. And here's the thing: I think they will, though. I think they will. I'm putting money on it that they will.
$2 billion on it. If that season was that shit was 500.
Yeah, this season was 500 mil, and there was barely any fighting.
The volcano scene probably cost like 100.
That absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Bro, that
shit was crazy.
It was crazy. It looked good, and then it was
so believable. I thought it was really happening.
Yeah, it looked nice, bro. It looked real nice.
Even the Numenor scenes probably costed a shit ton.
Oh yeah, dude. It was
all those boats.
It was a lot of water.
And it was just beautiful. Just the island was beautiful. Just the architecture, just the wardrobe design, just everything that they put into it as well.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
It's
a very immersive show. But
it's a very immersive.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So
The story was just
dude, I think when it's all said and done, we're all gonna be talking after season 4 and being like, yeah, dude, this show is the greatest show that's ever, been out. No, I'm joking about that. Definitely
I
not the
was
greatest
gonna
show.
say I don't know
But
about that just yet. I'm
what
not
I
gonna
will
put that
say,
stamp on it.
is that yeah, I'm gonna watch season 2 for sure because just like reflecting on all 8 episodes, around 8 hours of my life taken away, I do think they just with that last episode, they did everything that they needed to do building up to that last episode. If the last episode was their idea of saying, "Hey, you know what? This is going to be like the impact piece of the season, and this is what's going to want people to watch season 2." I think they did a 10 out of 10 on that. I really do think so, and I think everything building up to it with the conversations, the interactions between each person, like each the factions and the people. Even though it was slow at times, like I think it was worth it for that last scene. So I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch it to see if what I just said stands true. But just
Mhm.
based off of what just watching 3 episodes in a row up until episode 8, so 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, they did a good job with that.
go.
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's speculate a little bit for the next season. What do you think? What do you think is gonna happen in the next season?
Simple.
Any thoughts?
Yeah,
Simple? Did you just
Yeah,
say
it's easy.
simple?
It's easy, bro.
What's gonna happen then?
Sauron's
Give
gonna
me the
turn up.
blueprint.
So Sauron's gonna turn up, right? So season 2, let's just say it's 8 episodes. Again, season 4, there's gonna be once again, it's gonna kind of mirror season 1. Episodes 2 and 3, Numenor. There's gonna be conflict in Numenor with the king, the queen, the blind
Mhm.
queen, and then the daughter of the sea guard. Then there's gonna be some confliction with the sea captain with the queen as well, because he thinks his son is perceived as dead. And you saw his emotional conflict when she said we were gonna go back because she has a vendetta against the orcs, right? So we're gonna have
Yeah.
some conflict there, right? We're gonna end up going back over to Middle Earth with them again, but this time they all get fucking bodied, right? Then we're gonna have a little, here and there with Nori and the mage going their way in some adventures. And obviously, most of that stuff is going to be once again very dull and just conversation based. And I think it's going to be more so driven by the mage now that he can
He can
articulate
actually
his
talk.
thoughts.
Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
actually talk, and the development of him honing his skill. They'll probably have one encounter where they're probably getting hunted down by one thing, and then some like small off battles with some like wildlife, and then they're gonna hit the summit of their arc in season 2 by actually getting near the fucking stars that he has to. They're not going to actually enter that because that's saved for season 3. Season 4 is when he drops into the battlefield as well. And then with the elves and Doran, there's gonna be conflict again with him and his dad. His dad's probably gonna pass away. There's gonna be some sort of what's that thing called? A coup against his father, and then the Mithril is gonna start being built, and then he's gonna see the rings, and they're gonna start developing the rings for everybody. Come on, bada boom, bada boom.
I think there needs to be an orc threat first. There needs to be a reason for them to build all these rings. Or like there might be inter conflict amongst the 3 as well. Like they notice the elves have rings because we haven't really seen all the men. Like we haven't. Like there's 9 dudes that get these rings. Like
Yeah, we only really saw 2 factions, like the Numenorians and the Southlanders, and that's all we saw.
There's so many. There has to be I think we'll get a bigger expansion. Like we'll get way more characters in the next season. So if you're out there listening and you're an actor, try to get
yeah, try to pull up for auditions.
I bet they're gonna be casting a massive cast because I mean,
absolutely.
I mean
that's how Lord of the Rings does it. They do
it big.
They get a lot of people in shots.
Got to. I mean, because it's a big show. It's a big world. Like the Lord of the Rings lore is like massive, and there's
massive.
There's total of like 20 rings. So there's that. So 20 rings. That's like 20 characters you have to have eventually. At least 20 people have to get a ring put on them.
Yep.
And then there has to be like that whole process. I mean, who gets them? Why
Yeah,
do they get 'em?
and there are still more dwarves as well
And there's more
out there
dwarves.
too. So I feel like what's gonna happen in the next season, by the end of the next season, it's gonna kind of, I feel like they're gonna flow the show the same way they did this first season, and they're gonna just stick to that format with them
Yep.
finally making the rings at the end of the season. So like next season, I feel like they're gonna make the dwarven rings, the 7 dwarven rings, and season 3 do the men, and season 4 we get the one ring to rule them all in the big battle. I think that's how it's gonna go down, and I kind of like that format.
I kind of like that too, to be honest.
Getting ringed up. Boy.
Getting ringed up, but you know what'd be even better? That's probably, you know, that's a good format, but you know what's even a better format? They just shove all the rings in season 2. Season 3 is a giant battle. Season 4 is a giant battle. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to see some bloodshed. You know?
Man, you said
That shit's not gonna happen.
Yeah, come on.
There's too much politics.
There's
It's
too
like-
much politics.
There's a lot of politicking, yeah. Especially with the elves, like you said, making the 3 rings. The dwarves are gonna like notice that and be like, we need more.
And who
those.
gave you that shit? Yeah, exactly. Once they noticed that they took.
So there's definitely going to be
once
conflict there.
Once the Dorans, the king of the dwarves right now, of that clan of dwarves, realizes that they took a piece of mithril and made rings, he's going to get fucking heated, and he's going to want fucking their necks.
Absolutely.
He's going to beat. And then he's going to want them. So then he's going to be like, make us rings, you motherfuckers.
So my question is like, what do those 3 rings do? Because I was so confused, bro. I only thought there was.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I don't completely understand the power of the rings.
Like some otherworldly shit.
I think
that's what I thought, but
it also keeps the elves alive, though. Like they need that. They need mithril for that, then be immortal.
Yeah, because
that's the reason they're after it. Because the tree is.
Their like tree was dying, and that's why they were leaving Middle Earth. So yeah, that
isn't it just to leave Middle Earth though, right?
What'd you say?
Isn't it just to leave Middle Earth?
No, they need it so they can sustain their immortality. That's what it is.
Yeah.
They need mithril
because the tree. I could be wrong, but like the tree is kind of what gives them life.
Yeah, the tree alive.
Everlasting. So, like, that's why once, like, the tree started dying, the king, High King, started, like, freaking out and was like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. It is, like, Middle Earth is a fucking shithole. Which, I mean, I don't even know why they're there.
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, isn't it only to sustain their life in Middle Earth? Because don't they have a tree back in their crib? Or wasn't that shit destroyed with Morgoth, right?
I think it was corrupted by Morgoth. I don't know if it was actually like destroyed.
I don't understand.
And I don't know if it's fixed. So
back. Yeah, when they get sent back, are they dying? Like it's so reminiscent of like someone dying.
Yeah, it's kind of like their version of heaven.
Like you get sent.
But also it's like their homeland, so it's weird. So I guess because the tree is still there in their homeland. I'm pretty sure it's called Valinor or something like that. Because when they're pulling up on the ship, that bright light that like fucking consumed Galadriel before she jumped off the boat, I think that was like the tree shining life on the elves or something like that, something along those lines.
Bro, that shit, like they needed to explain that shit, bro. That shit.
They're not going to. Yeah, they're not gonna.
Come on, we got an hour each episode and 8 in a season. Like they gotta do some explaining. They're explaining some worthless shit. Like that, like right? Like I'm so confused.
Yeah, it is confusing as shit sometimes.
But yeah, I think there is gonna be tension between the elves and the dwarves in the next season for sure.
Oh yeah, they don't fuck with each other at all.
Well, I don't think the king
No,
fucks
the
with
elves
them.
and the dwarves don't fuck with each other at all.
Yeah, they just don't fuck with each other.
Like those two don't really. They hate each other like more than the men
What
do.
what about
Yeah.
fucking Elrond and Doran, bro?
They're rare.
I mean, there are like rare instances where
I'm
like
sure. I think something shystie's about to happen between. Like, there's about to be some shit. Like, I'm telling you. Like,
yeah.
because remember Gimli in the OGs is like he's fired up. He's like fucking he I think he says something and like have to be with an elf. Like fuck.
Yeah, he said something like that.
He's like you guys fucked us over back in the day. Like,
He
they
said
do-
that shit?
Yes, they screwed him
Yeah.
over for the Mithril, bro. They are.
Yeah.
I know. I tell you that right now. The elves eventually screw them over for.
No, bro. I like Elrond, bro. I don't.
Elrond's the
come on.
only good one, bro. The rest of them are all
but
assholes.
but listen, bro. Listen. Like if the elves fuck over the dwarves, that means Elrond initiated the like conversation for them to get fucked over with, man.
Well, it's like he's getting
or
used.
the High King just goes over him.
Well, we know that. Well, no. What I mean is like it's obviously like the act of the High King, but Elrond is the one that's like doing all the like diplomacy between them in good faith, but then it gets fucking manipulated, so it looks bad on him, you know?
Oh yeah, okay, I get it.
That's what I'm saying. Like my boy Elrond's about to get shysted.
The finesse is about to get finessed.
Damn. Long line again, finessed out here.
That's crazy.
It's a long line, finesse, boys.
Yeah.
That's wild. Do you guys have any final thoughts pertaining to Lord of the Rings? Oh, one thing actually. When
They need hotter characters.
What?
Huh?
I think everyone was fine, but one thing I will say, when Sauron reveals himself to Galadriel, why the fuck did she not tell Celebrimbor, like, or
Immediately.
I agree.
or Elrond that was
At all.
Sauron? She just said like, she said something about like
He's not
making
allowed back in here. to
mistakes
see
or
it.
something.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yep.
like them not like parlaying with him
Also,
ever
making
again.
the rings was really awkward. They just stopped talking.
Yeah, they did.
And then Elrond walked up all weird, like he was
Because
like,
he read the
because
fucking
he
what's it
read
called?
the he
had
read
the
the
scroll.
for the
and he put the
family
shit
lines of
together.
the Southlands. Yeah, and he figured
Yeah.
it out. And
Yeah,
like they
so-
kind of had that look at each other, but at the same time, the rings were created, so Elrond couldn't even like confront her about it.
Exactly. So that's what I was confused about too. Like, did Sauron plant something in her
no,
head?
because he learned how to make a ring and then he dipped. That's
No,
what he
you're
did.
right.
That could be
You're
true.
right, bro. You're
No,
right, bro.
he learned how to make it. Then
He learned how to make it. Yeah.
Then he's like, I got my info. I'm out. Like I'm gonna go back to Mordor where I have
And
the
make my
hottest
own
fire
shit.
in the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the best fucking ring you've ever seen, bitch.
That's right, bro.
That
I
makes
didn't even put
sense.
that together, bro. He did get the fucking info. Because
Yes.
from the most skilled smith.
Yeah.
I mean, he pretty much gave the info as well.
Yeah, but he
Well,
didn't know how to
he-
do it though. He,
he
didn't
didn't-
know everything. He didn't know.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
how
He
to-
didn't.
yeah.
He doesn't know how to do it though. You know,
or
he
how
may.
hot the thing. And then he has the flames of the fire, that volcano. That's where he forges
Yeah.
the ring in that bitch.
Yeah.
Oh, and doesn't that bitch need to be thrown into that volcano
Yes, because
too?
it's the hottest. Yeah,
That's
it's
the only way to destroy
it.
it.
Exactly, because it's the hottest shit, brother.
Bro, Lord of the Rings is goaded, bro. What the fuck? Let's rewatch that shit, man. One sitting, 8 hours
He
into the
watched them make
3.
them pussy ass rings. He said, "Fuck that! You're gonna split the power amongst 3. I'm gonna make all one." The men get finesse; they get 9 pussy ass rings,
True.
and they
And
all
you
get
know,
played.
and
they all
it's just
become
probably pure
Nazgul.
mithril too, huh?
I have no idea.
I know that bitch. Oh, I mean, that bitch turned you. Let you see the other side.
True.
That's the point. You can go to the other dimension.
Yeah.
Where all well,
The unseen world, as they say.
yeah.
Oh, that's why he keeps quoting that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's where they fucking. That's the whole. their-
I mean, there are a lot of lines that kind of are reminiscent of lines from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings series and The Hobbit too.
Damn. Aren't there like 3 hobbits?
Yeah, it's trilogies
Yeah.
for everything.
Like there
Which
was
goes-
the wizard said something along the lines of whenever in doubt follow your nose, like at the end, and I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Gandalf said something similar to the hobbits.
Bro, that's
Or-
Gandalf, bro.
We don't know that yet.
Bro, you think every fucking wizard is
that's-
quoting
like,
that shit?
If it's that basic, do you think that? I think they would have revealed it. Right?
It's too it's
I don't
too,
think so,
it's,
bro.
It's too obvious.
Wait, how old how long did the fucking wizards live?
As long as they need to.
Is that actually how that goes?
Like longer than about as long as elves. They are pretty much immortal unless they get killed.
Yeah, yeah. Just like the elves. Just like the elves, man. The only way to die.
I see. That's crazy.
But yeah, any final thoughts?
Not really. I think I regurgitated all my data.
What about you, Mr. Buckets?
I'm done, bro.
Then I'm done as well. Thank you for joining us for this season 1 Rings of Power review. Next podcast is most likely going to be Game of Thrones House of the Dragon season 1 review. Not gonna lie, kind of got spoiled on the next episode for that, but that is okay.
Get cucked.
Yep. Don't go on Twitter when you don't need to. That's all I got to say about that. But thank you for listening. You can check out the podcast on all the podcasting platforms that you would prefer. And go ahead and go follow the Twitter page at Why Am I Here Pod. Thank you and goodbye.